Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. In the previous presentation, Mrs. Renu has touched upon the initiatives of the Department of Information Technology on the standards and interoperability. And as a part of this initiative, NIC and STQC is steering this activity of e-governance standards. So I would touch upon the need, where it started and where we are today, and some of the challenges we have faced over this period in which we were working in the area of standards. And as the chair had mentioned, also the status where e-governance standards, the various working groups which had been set up as mentioned by Mrs. Renu Buddharaja in our previous presentation, the institutional mechanism. So the vision as for having standardization is to have, of course, more improved e-governance services, to share the resources for productivity increase and having standardized systems and processes. To touch upon the existing systems in e-governance, most of the e-governance applications which have been built over the years, there are a lot of legacy applications, they were developed as standalone systems. So we have as we have been seeing silos of information which is needs to be integrated for a common service delivery. So we are having too much of data but not able to tap it in the right way and possibly use it in the right kind of way. There's a lot of replication, duplication, system integrity problems. So these are some of the issues and in the existing scenarios. So one of the most important needs which was being felt was to have standardization. And that was the fundamental objective of most of the stakeholders, be they the system policy makers or the users, or if you say even the industry. The fundamental objective of all these stakeholders is standardization. Now, when you talk about standardization, the challenge is that we have different meanings attached to the word standardization, different flavors of standardization, of course, all with the same objective, to have interoperability. So we'll come to that when we come to the challenges we face as far as the standardization is concerned. So with this existing scenario, the need was felt to have flexibility, interoperability between systems from different sources, from different vendors, different technologies, and to have a platform-independent modeling. These were some of the needs, felt needs. And the emphasis was on interoperability and integration in a non-proprietary format. So we come to the need, the concerns of interoperability, which led to the need for standardization. So when you talk about interoperability in the basic terms, it's the ability to exchange information and standards, which was the you can say the response to the need of interoperability. So interoperability means different things to different situations. One is application integration, exchange of information. When you talk about, when I said different areas, when you talk about different technologies, they have to be integrated irrespective of the underlying technology which is being used. When you talk about the information access, irrespective of the method in which the application is going to access, irrespective of any of the devices, it should be interoperable. Whether a user uses a mobile phone or he uses a kiosk, a touch screen kiosk, the application should be accessible to him. So that is the information access. Then the security area, and also interconnection. So these are the different aspects of interoperability. When you talk about the national considerations with which the whole exercise had begun, standardization, the main one is, again, we come back to interoperability of the national level applications, enabling the national records and data to be stored in open file format. So when you talk about interoperability, to my mind, or you can, we can discuss it further. Three main things. One is we need interoperability for preserving our data. Data preservation is a very important thing. Reducing the vendor lock-in situation, and then interoperability. So these are the main concerns for going for standardization. So the intention, the national considerations was to enable all the data records to be stored in an open format, to reduce over-reliance on proprietary technologies, and also, as a consequence of it, to enable smaller local vendors to participate, encourage participation from smaller. We come to the term, the concern, the answer to all the issues of interoperability is standardization, as we have been talking about. So in standardization, whether standards, open standards, is the answer for interoperability. Does standardization actually solve your problem of interoperability? Because here the challenge is that standardization to one person, even within the standard setting organization, even though their principles are the same, the end objectives are the same, they adopt different meanings. They use different meanings. There's no standard. The problem is that there is no standardization in the meaning of the word open standard. It could mean different meanings, connotations to different organizations. So, but open standards, in a sense, it means as a publicly available specification for achieving a specific task. The objective is that they increase the compatibility between various hardware and software components without any technical know-how, and to implement solutions which work together seamlessly. This is 3 minutes. That's very short. The objectives of open standards, I've just given a meaning which is the commonly accepted meaning of open standards. The objective is to have interoperability, reduction of vendor lock-in, data preservation, cost and risk reductions, and enhance the quality. When you talk about interoperability, what we had been discussing, to have different products and technologies to talk to each other, to exchange information. Reduction of vendor lock-in, it should not be data. The government data is very critical. So we have to ensure that it is preserved in eternity. It is not tied to any proprietary format. That 20 years hence, when the technology is no longer available, we are in a very difficult situation. Data cost and risk reduction, of course, that is an implication, and quality of the government system. So these are some of the objectives of open standards. Most of the standard setting organizations have some principles which are commonly adopted, that the standards which are being used should be publicly available for implementation, and it should be formed in a consensus, and there should not be any control or tie-in by any specific group of persons. So there are different perspectives of open standards to different. For a SSO, that is standard setting organization, the term open could mean a creation of standards following open meeting. To an implementer, it could mean serving the market they wish to. For the user, it could mean it's a different meaning, multiple implementations of the standard from different sources. So these are the different perspectives of the stakeholders. I'm not going into that due to paucity of time, more on the open standards. The challenges we have faced, as the chair was mentioning, we have, as a part of the institutional mechanism set up by the Department of IT, we have 6 working groups constituted for 6 areas of standards: technical standards, metadata and data standards, network and information security, localization and language technology, quality and documentation, legal enablement of ICT systems. These are the 6 working groups. Out of that, the working group which is constituted, that's technical standards and e-governance architecture, they are mandated with coming out with the technical standards in each area which will ensure interoperability between systems.